All right, welcome back, beautiful people. This is Forever Young. I'm Dr. John Layke.
And I'm Dr. Payman Danielpour.
And I wanted to thank all the viewers and listeners for sending all your feedback, for subscribing. I just wanted to remind all of you who are watching or listening, please hit that subscribe or like button on the YouTube channel or as well as the podcast, wherever you listen to it. But this is how we ultimately come up with some of our topics where we read these questions. And, you know, the last time we spoke about this is one of the very first podcasts that we did, but it was so popular that we thought we'd revisit it, but we're going to make it a little fun today. And it is called the Mommy Makeover Special. Look, this is really your specialty, but what I will say, I'm going to preface the entire thing by saying Mommy Makeover used to be where it was a combination of breast, abdomen, liposuction, buttock enhancement. But I would say I've seen more over the last year, especially, that moms are starting to do more with their necks and face, right?
Absolutely. And you know, the beauty of the Mommy Makeover procedure is it's basically anything that you feel like you need to do to turn back the clock to your pre-pregnancy days. Mm-hmm. And the beauty of how it works in this practice, and since the inception of this practice and even in residency, John and I have been doing these cases together. These are big operations. These are operations that take time and they have multiple moving parts at the same time. And there's nothing better than having two plastic surgeons, board certified plastic surgeons, work on you at the same time. Funny thing is, was it last week or the week before, we did 3 plastic surgeons operating on the same person at the same time.
You're right.
And we had Dr. Reside in there as well. So I think, you know, sky's the limit, and it's always better to do everything in one shot because you have one recovery time, one anesthesia time, and you don't have to keep coming back and doing surgery. So let's get into this Mommy Makeover situation.
I do want to touch on that last bit because sometimes it sounds like you're doing a ton of surgery, and rightfully so, right? But you have to understand, this is not intra-abdominal surgery. This is not cardiac surgery. This is shifting around skin and soft tissue. And so a lot of times we do have to be careful. Sometimes is when we do large volume liposuction.
Absolutely.
And we're also performing some of these procedures because there's massive fluid shifts and things like that. But at the same time, when you have multiple surgeons working on the same patient, it also means that you cut the time in half.
It's amazing.
And so it really is about the time under anesthesia, you know, combined with the fluid shifts, the amount of surgery that you're performing. And so I do think that working together to accomplish, you know, multiple different areas at the same time is beneficial to the patient.
And that's why when patients come into this office and they're like, oh my God, I went somewhere else. They said, that's impossible. You can't do that operation. But it's not, because when you have multiple people, tomorrow morning we're doing a Mommy Makeover.
Yeah, by yourself it might.
And we're doing,
you know,
breast lift, liposuction, tummy tuck, all of it. But we're 2 of us. We're closing at the same time. We're doing everything at the same time. So you really cut the time in half. But what's really special about our situation here is we've been doing it for almost 20 years. So we know exactly what we're doing. We know each other's moves. You know, very frequently while I'm doing a Mommy Makeover, he's actually doing someone's nose too, because they don't like the way their nose looks and they want to fix that, or a facelift. And we're going to get into all of this, but the Mommy Makeover is for mommies, and it's basically turning back the clock, changing or restoring what has changed over time and over having children.
Now, we did have a previous podcast for males. It's called a Daddy Do-Over. And even though they did not undergo, you know, pregnancy, sometimes men let it get away while their wives are getting pregnant, because kind of the last thing you want to do is be in the best shape of your life while your wife is gaining weight. She'll murder you.
That's why they call it the dad bod.
Yeah, yes.
Currently, I'm sporting that.
So I thought that maybe what we do, we'd make this a little fun. We're going to kind of go over some common myths in more of a game show type of true or false.
True or false?
True or false? Mommy makeovers are only for new moms.
That's absolutely false, because, you know, this is something that probably the last thing you want to do is come get a mommy makeover right after you have your baby. You know, most people wait. They wait till the babies are a little bit older, so they don't have to lift them. They don't have to carry them. And also, they let their body kind of take that time to rest for a bit. You've gone through pregnancy, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 5. You need to let everything kind of fall back into place and see exactly what you need to have done. Mm-hmm. So no, it's not something that's done immediately after. Sometimes we do grandmommy makeovers. People who had babies 50 years ago and want to have the change. So there's no exact time for it, but normally what we notice is people do it after their last pregnancy, and normally at least a year after, because you want to let your breasts kind of settle and the belly kind of fall into the final position as to what you see. So whatever you're doing, you're not rushing to it. You're letting everything settle before you get it done.
And the other thing is, although it does say Mommy Makeover, you also have to understand that it's not just for mommies. In reality, these procedures are designed for any woman, whether it's pregnancy, aging, or simple weight fluctuations, because they can have the same effects on the body.
Absolutely. We've done mommy makeovers on a 25-year-old. They've never been a mommy, but they've had weight fluctuations. They don't like the way their breasts look. Mm-hmm. They need a breast reduction and a tummy tuck, or a breast reduction and liposuction. People that are massive weight loss patients who are in their 20s or early 30s who've never had children. So you can call it a mommy makeover because it's the term that's been used because you're fixing post-pregnancy changes in the majority of patients. However, there are other people that have this done that haven't been mommies yet.
The next one, let's say true or false, mommy makeovers involve one surgery at a time.
It's a false. That's the beauty of what the mommy makeover is. It's multiple operations in one sitting. And again, so historically, and then the term mommy makeover has always been some kind of breast procedure, including some sort of abdominal procedure. And most of the time, it's a breast lift with or without an implant, because the breasts tend to sag due to breastfeeding and breast being engorged with milk and then deflating and inflating and deflating. So therefore, there's some excess skin and lack of volume. A lot of people that have babies, they say, man, I had much bigger breasts. And then all of a sudden, after multiple children, my breasts are much smaller and deflated. That's one. And the second is an abdominoplasty or a tummy tuck, which really fixes sagging skin and what's called a rectus diastasis. Rectus diastasis is separation of the stomach muscles that occurs after multiple pregnancies. The abdomen needs to accommodate for the growth of the child, and therefore what's called the linea alba or the rectus muscles tend to give. God made us in a beautiful way in the sense that instead of stretching and popping, the muscles really stretch, and that midline ridge actually becomes separated so significantly that it needs to be repaired. And the abdominoplasty was actually created for post-pregnancy mommies that needed to have this fix. And very frequently, some liposuction in some areas where there's some nagging and stubborn fat that needs to be removed. So those are really the combination of treatments. But like John said, now over the last 5 years or so, we're getting a lot of patients that come in their 40s, 45, 50s. They're like, how about a little mini neck lift as well? And that's the beauty of doing this. While I'm doing the breast, Dr. Layke will do the neck, and then we'll do the tummy together.
It's basically a customizable combination of surgeries. And it may involve the breast, abdomen, but we can add the 360-degree liposuction. We can add facial surgeries. Again, it is for any female that wants to get into their fighting shape. And the takeaway point from this is that you can do all of these things at the same time because we have multiple surgeons.
And think about this. Surgery center is right behind me. We operate, and most patients just go home. I don't want to say easy it is, but that's how routine of an operation this is. And this is something we do at least once a week. Tomorrow morning, again, first case of the day is a mommy makeover. And like Dr. Layke said, we're not dealing with vital organs. It's all skin and soft tissue. So there is not a significant safety problem. And the healing process is really relatively easy.
We'll go on to the next question. True or false, mommy makeovers provide results that cannot be achieved through exercise alone?
This is a great question, and it is true. Listen, if that was the case, we wouldn't be doing mommy makeovers all the time, because I am especially the type of person that says, go and do this on your own.
Yep.
You don't need my help. But the reality behind it is two big things. One is extra skin will not just bounce back. So whether it's extra skin on the breast, extra skin on the abdomen, it needs to be cut and it needs to be contoured. If the breasts are sagging, there's no way, and please understand this, there is no way to fix that without creating a breast lift, without cutting out extra skin. And that's the same thing with the abdomen. If you have a rectus diastasis that's more than one finger breadth, 2, 3, 4 finger breaths, there's nothing you could do. You can work out till you're blue in the face. That separation will still be there. And for some people that we've operated on over the years, it looks like they're still pregnant because of the diastasis. And then the lower abdominal hanging pannus or skin, there's zero way to get rid of it. If you lose weight, it'll get even worse because it'll be deflated skin. So as much as we'd love to say diet and exercise can fix post-pregnancy changes, impossible.
Yeah, I just saw a celeb yesterday, 6 months post C-section, and said, I'm back in, I'm doing Pilates, I'm doing everything I can, but something's not happening here with my abdomen. It's not the way it was before. And they're right. I mean, it has to be surgically corrected, especially after the second or third child.
Absolutely. And listen, there are some people in this world, they're genetic freaks, like your wife, honestly. And she had twins and she had another baby. She looks fantastic. She really does. She doesn't need a mommy makeover. She took care of herself during her pregnancy. She didn't gain a ton of weight. And she was lucky. Her skin bounced back and she looks incredible. And then we can also help those patients that don't need that with a little bit of M-Sculpt to tighten that skin and really get that muscle built up so the diastasis that's not too wide can be a little bit narrower.
Okay, let's talk about the next one. Mommy makeovers are only about vanity.
Absolutely not. And that's a false as well. Because of this, and this really pertains to a few things, but a rectus diastasis, or the separation of the muscles of the abdomen, really create a problem for a lot of people. It decreases your strength in your core because the stomach muscles are really kind of pushed apart. And by reapproximating those muscles, you feel like your core is stronger. Unfortunately, yes, does it make you look better? Absolutely. But it makes you feel better. It puts everything back to where it was. A lot of mommies, and you can ask them, and listeners that are listening that have been mommies know exactly what I'm talking about. They're like, I just don't feel the same after my multiple children. And I want it to go back to where it was. Now, is it a 2-for-1 special? Absolutely. You look better and you feel better.
Yep.
But it's not just about vanity, because it'll make you feel better in your clothes. It'll make you feel better just because of the way that the muscles are sitting or the way the breasts are sitting. And I think overall, it is a combination of both, but it's not just for vanity.
Yeah, the psychological benefits to self-esteem that a mommy makeover can provide extend far beyond just the physical stuff. And again, you're right about the core that, sometimes it's easier, especially after pregnancy, for you to do a side sit-up than it is for a straight sit-up.
Absolutely.
Until the repair. And then you can reestablish your natural core. Here's another one. This is my favorite. Recovery from mommy makeovers is lengthy.
It depends on who you are. I think so. This could be like a true and false. So it all depends on what you're having done. Again, mommy makeover is a blanket statement, but it could be just a breast augmentation and some lipo. So a little bit easier than having a tummy tuck and lipo, or it could be a breast reduction and a mini tummy tuck. So there's a lot of different things that can be done. But generally speaking, this is what I tell everyone, that we do the real platinum package mommy makeover, which is a breast augmentation, a breast lift, 360 lipo, and a tummy tuck. We're doing it tomorrow morning, so get yourself ready. And the reality of this is the first couple of days, it all depends on how much liposuction is being done. If you're doing a tremendous amount of liposuction, yes, you're going to feel like you were beat up for about 3 days, 4 days. Breast part of the surgery doesn't hurt as much. Breast surgery generally doesn't hurt a whole lot, but the liposuction hurts. Tummy tuck is sore. You feel hunched over. The first week is the real recovery period. After the first week, most of our patients have transitioned to Tylenol, are driving, are feeling a lot better to the point where they're walking, they're doing their thing. So it's not a tremendous recovery, but we're talking about 1 week of staying at home and taking it easy, an additional 5 weeks, so a total 6 weeks of no heavy lifting, no exercise, no swimming, no laying on your belly, and no strenuous activity. We want you to heal. After 6 weeks, you're ready to do everything.
Yeah.
So in all reality, for a big operation like that, 1 week of staying home and then 6 weeks of downtime, but you'll never, ever, ever look better, I think it's well worth it.
Yeah, I always say, some of the patients who are very active, the first thing they say is, oh my gosh, there's no way I can't work out for 6 weeks. And you say, well, this is the one time you stop working out and you'll look better. It just is.
It's the truth.
So it's kind of a reset. And then once that 6 weeks comes up, you get right back into it, but you've got better curves, things where you have parts where you want them to be, right?
And the interesting thing, I'm just going to throw a little something in there is, a lot of patients that come in here, they're like, I don't know if I can get all these done at the same time. So obviously our practice, we don't ever push people to do anything they don't want to have done. Saw a patient 2 days ago who said she went to another plastic surgeon who ripped her apart, said she needed everything from head to toe. That's not our style. But I will tell you, the ones that don't do one of the procedures will come back. For example, I did a breast reduction on a gal who had multiple children. And I said to her, don't you want to just do the tummy tuck at the same time? Because she talked to me about it. She didn't do it. She came back, I think it was like 8 weeks after. She goes, you lifted my breasts and you made them so much smaller. Now all I see is my tummy. Let's do the tummy. Yep. So if you're on the fence, just get it done. Do the makeover. Do the whole thing so you don't have to come back for another sitting.
Oh, I was going to say, all right, next one. Mommy makeovers are only for women with multiple children. True or false?
False. Everyone is different. And the way your body behaves or responds to a pregnancy is very different. Some people gain 20 to 30 pounds, which is generally the normal amount of weight most people gain. I've seen people that gain 50 or 60 pounds. The way your body is going to respond to 50-pound weight gain versus 20 to 30-pound weight gain, even with one pregnancy, is significantly different if someone had 3 pregnancies. And the example I gave of Kendall, your wife, is exactly that. She had twin pregnancies and another pregnancy. I've seen people with one pregnancy that look like they're still pregnant. So this is, again, there's no rule for this. All it is just basically how your body responded. You may be really tiny and had a really big baby.
Yep.
And it stretched out your skin and stretched out your muscles and you need it. Or you might have breastfed and only had one child, breastfed for 2 years and destroyed your breasts. So each patient is individualized and a real treatment plan is made for them. But multiple kids are not necessary to have your body have post-pregnancy changes.
The one thing I will say, however, is if you are planning on having future children, then you may want to delay some of the things like an abdominoplasty because you'll end up just ruining the results. So if you say, oh, you know what, I want to undergo surgery, but we're going to have a kid in the next year, it doesn't make sense to undergo some of these things.
Completely agreed. Now, have we operated on people that have gone and had children? Absolutely. Has it destroyed the results? Yes and no. I could tell you all this because of experience. It's our 15th year in private practice. I did a breast augmentation and lift on a gal who had 3 children. Her and her husband, lovely people, came in and they're like, we're done having kids. We're ready to do this. And she didn't need a tummy tuck, so she didn't have one. Did a breast augmentation and lift. Looked beautiful. And one day I sat to myself, I said, why is this lady never came back to see? I saw her like 3 months. She never came back. I got an email from her and her husband like a year and a half later saying, sorry we never came back, but we got pregnant again and had another kid. And by the way, the breasts still look awesome. And they sent me a picture. So there are the exceptions to the rule. But I do think that, you should plan it properly. There are the times where there's the oops and you get pregnant. But if you're done having pregnancies and you're done having children, wait about a year or so, 6 months to a year, and then go see your plastic surgeon.
True or false, mommy makeovers are risky?
It's a big question. It's a big word. I would say no, and it's false. And I'll tell you why. First and foremost, yes, there's risk to everything. There's risks to crossing the street every day and getting in your car and driving every day. But I think the risks of a mommy makeover is probably less than driving your car in Los Angeles. As plastic surgeons, especially in this practice, are very conservative. We're very safe surgeons. We make sure that you have a absolute minimal risk prior to taking you to the operating room. Whether it's for a rhinoplasty, a facelift, a mommy makeover, or for any type of surgery that we're putting you to sleep. What's the point in doing this if there's going to be harm done to you? So again, like we discussed earlier, All of this is skin and soft tissue. The risks are minimal to none as long as you don't have comorbidities. As long as you're healthy and we check everything out, make sure your labs are okay. This is a routine procedure that everyone does really well with minimal risk.
That's right. I mean, look, obviously the appropriate patient selection, we have to make sure that you have preoperative clearance and you have a skilled team. I mean, you have a skilled and experienced team that can handle all situations. It just leads to a successful outcome.
Absolutely. It's my favorite part of being a plastic surgeon is dealing with mommies. I really do. I love it because it's not like incredibly vain people that are coming because their nose is slightly bigger and they want to make it smaller, which is fine as well. But the mommy population is a little different in the sense that they have nurtured children, they've had multiple, and they've had this job as mom. And in a way, for some people, it's really kind of done a number on their body. And it shouldn't. And the beauty of it is they can make it better. And I saw somebody that we operated on yesterday who came into the room and she looked at me. I go, wow, you look amazing. She goes, I never looked this good before I was pregnant. Mm-hmm. And that makes me feel even better because for some people, you even make them look better than before pregnancy. Yep. And why not? Why shouldn't a mommy look and feel their best with children? Be able to wear a bikini, be able to really show off how good they look even after children.
Yeah, feel that confidence. It just spills over.
Way. Absolutely. It's a real good, feel good part of our practice. I love doing it. We do a lot of it. Patients do fantastic. And the way we know is because most of our practice is really word of mouth. So one mommy tells the next. I mean, we're on all these mommy blogs that we get referrals from mommy blogs because they're like, who does your mommy makeover? And if someone who's had something done is happy, then that's the proof in the pudding, right?
I hope you guys learned something. The takeaway points here are you can perform multiple surgeries at the same time because we have multiple surgeons. That it's not a risky procedure, that you need a skilled and experienced team. If it's not us, you look for a board-certified plastic surgeon that's experienced in this procedure. And the idea is that it's not just for mommies. It's for any female that wants to reshape, recondition, get back to a state or even better than their pre-pregnancy state or anything like that. But the goal is, I know it's Mommy Makeover, but it's really for any female who wants to kind of reshape the body.
And I swear to you, I don't think we've ever done one Mommy Makeover or this type of combined operation where they haven't been happy.
You're right.
Everyone's happy.
You're right. If you want further information, you can go to our website, BeverlyHillsPlasticSurgeryGroup.com, and look under Mommy Makeover. Just do your due diligence out there. Look for a board-certified plastic surgeon that's, very skilled and has an experienced team in this particular procedure. And if you are going to get multiple procedures done at the same time, I'd go to a place that has two surgeons because, again, you get in and out of the operating room faster. It's great because you have another board-certified plastic surgeon checking on each other's work. And, I think it leads to better outcomes.
If you like this video, you're going to love this one.
And in a perfect world, we have our babies early and body recoils and returns back to normal. Not always the case.